Back with us now on the Sunrise Morning Show is Richard Ghazal, Executive Director of In Defense of Christians. Good morning, Rich. Welcome back.
Good morning, Annie. How are you?
I am doing just fine. And, I am just constantly blown away by the things that I learn from In Defense of Christians on a week-by-week basis. And today we are going to be learning about yet another genocide by the Ottoman Empire in the era of World War I, with June 15th being Sayfo Remembrance Day. What is that about?
Well, yes, as you said, every year on the 15th of June, Syriac Christians around the world commemorate one of the darkest episodes in modern history, and that is the genocide of Syriac Christians at the hands of the Ottoman Turkish Empire. We refer to the Syriac genocide as Sayfo, which in the Aramaic language means the sword, simply because 1915 is known in the Syriac-speaking community as the year of the sword. We often hear about the Armenian genocide that lasted from roughly 1915 to 1923. But in addition to the over 1.5 million Armenians and hundreds of thousands of Greeks, the Ottoman Turks also murdered upwards of 750,000 Syriac Christians, which includes Syriac Catholics and Orthodox, Chaldean Catholics, Assyrians, and Maronites. These Syriac Christians were non-combatants. They were just, unfortunately, subjected to the ugliest and most unimaginable crimes humans are capable of. Men, women, children, and even elderly were slaughtered indiscriminately, and those that weren't killed, Annie, were sent on death marches through the desert. And because of this horrific event and similar events that followed throughout the 20th century, Turkey's Christian population has actually plummeted from about 20% during the Ottoman days to less than 0.2% today. Wow. And that's moving the decimal two decimal places. In fact, Annie, even today, the Turkish President Erdogan refers to Turkey's remaining Christian minority as remnants of the sword. So this just goes to show that while the date on the calendar may have changed, we're 100 years later now, Turkish policies toward Christians have not changed much at all.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what is the overall impact? Obviously, a huge amount of Christians killed in a genocide, but what are all of the lasting impacts from all of this?
Well, Annie, Syriac Christians in Turkey are a shadow of what they once were, both in terms of population as well as historical legacy. The Syriacs of Turkey are indigenous to the southeast, mainly an area called Tor Abdin, which in the Aramaic language means mountain of the servants of God. This area is home to some of the world's oldest churches and monasteries, dating back to the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD. And for centuries, this area, Tor Abdin, was a vibrant cradle of Eastern Christianity. In fact, it's home to what was believed to be the world's first university. That's the School of Nisibis, which produced none other than St. Ephrem, who, by the way, is one of the 36 doctors of the Catholic Church. So this one-time stronghold of Syriac Christianity now lies all but empty, with about 2,000 Christians remaining. Churches that I mentioned, these ancient churches, are now in ruins, and many of them have been converted into mosques. But as I said, Annie, this genocide doesn't just exist in the past. It continues even today. The Turkish government is undeterred in targeting Christians. Turkey has weaponized its legal system against Christians by throwing Christian civic leaders, journalists, and even clergy into prison on trumped-up charges. Also, the murder rate against Christians by Turkish Muslims is astounding, but unfortunately goes unaddressed and not even investigated by Turkish authorities. And so, sadly, Annie, this is really what it means to be remnants of the sword in Turkey.
Yeah. And you have a very personal connection to this particular genocide, don't you?
I do. In fact, all 8 of my great-grandparents were survivors of the Syriac genocide. While they were lucky enough to escape with their lives, unfortunately, they were left as orphans because the rest of their family members, unfortunately, didn't survive the sword. But the beautiful thing in all of this, Annie, is the fact that their horrific experience throughout it all, they didn't take on a victim mentality. As Christians, they believe that victory has already been won. So they went on to live their lives, marry, raise children, and build a beautiful family despite their experiences. But there is no denying the real and quantifiable damage done to the Syriac Christian community and the Christian community in general in Turkey as a result of this dark period. And that's not to mention the persistent anti policies that exist even today in Turkey.
Rich, did your great-grandparents tell, I mean, I don't imagine that you may have heard them, but were there any stories that were passed down from them about this?
Absolutely. There were many stories. In fact, I've only met, in my lifetime, 2 of my 8 great-grandparents. Unfortunately, I was very young when they passed. But the stories still live through their children, who were my grandchildren. So, one thing that we say in the Syriac community is we'll never forget this episode. And that, thus far, has held true through family stories and oral accounts of what happened.
And, of course, we know very well here on the Sunrise Morning Show that In Defense of Christians has been watching Turkey's behavior very closely in recent years. And you've got a policy briefing coming up soon about Christians in Turkey.
That's correct. In fact, today, just so happens to come on Syriac Genocide Remembrance Day at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. IDC will be holding a policy briefing to discuss Turkey's anti-Christian climate that existed before President Erdogan came to power and will likely persist even after he's out of office. It's going to be a great program, Annie, and it's going to feature academics, Turkish journalists, and even a member or former member of Turkish Parliament. And it's not too late for people to register online via our Facebook page or on our website, indefenseofchristians.org.
And you can find indefenseofchristians.org linked at sunrisemorningshow.com. Rich, if folks are working or can't make the policy briefing for whatever reason, will there be a recording of it later?
It certainly will be, and it will be posted on YouTube on the In Defense of Christian YouTube channel, so they can catch it there.
Awesome. Again, indefenseofchristians.org linked at sunrisemorningshow.com. Rich, thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie. Have a great day.
You do the same. Thank you.